Hey, welcome back. Today we're really getting into something interesting, the evolution of commercial wall graphics. For anyone who manages a brand, a large facility, or a campus, your walls are some of your most valuable real estate. But how we use them? Well, that's going through a pretty massive shift.
So let's start with the big question. How do you brand a wall? It sounds simple, but whether you're thinking about branding or wayfinding or just creating a certain vibe in a space, the choice you make here has huge ripple effects on your budget, your timeline, and your brand's image for years to come.
And for decades, the answer was always vinyl, right? It was the go-to. It's familiar, it gets the job done. But, and this is a big but for anyone who's actually managed these projects, it always came with baggage. You know what I'm talking about. Those visible seams that just slice right through the art, adhesives that can fail, and the serious disruption that comes with both installation and eventually removal.
Okay, so here's how we're going to break this down. We'll look at the old way versus the new and get clear on who the contenders are. Then, we're going to put them head-to-head in 3 rounds: speed, durability, and the true value. And we'll wrap it all up with a framework to help you make the best call for your project.
So, what we're really talking about here isn't just a new product. It's a fundamental shift in the technology itself. We're moving from that familiar, but let's be honest, often flawed world of vinyl to a much more modern alternative, one that's really built for today's operational demands. And this really gets to the heart of it. The conversation has changed. It's not just about, can we put something cool on the wall anymore? It's a strategic decision. It's about life cycle performance, keeping projects on schedule, and what's going to deliver the best long-term value.
So before we put them in the ring, let's get a really clear definition of our 2 contenders. What exactly are we comparing here?
First up, the reigning champion, vinyl wall coverings. You know the drill. Your artwork gets printed on these big PVC films somewhere else, they get cut into panels, shipped to your site, and then they're painstakingly applied panel by panel with adhesives. It's the traditional way. And now, here's the challenger, direct-to-wall printing. This is a totally different way of thinking. A mobile, vertical printer actually comes to your site. It then literally prints the digital art directly onto the wall, using these special UV inks that are cured instantly by built-in lights.
What's so cool here is how this technology directly solves the classic vinyl headaches. Seam-free means your huge panoramic shot looks exactly like it's supposed to, unbroken. Adhesive-free means you can forget about bubbling or peeling. And paint-over ready? Wow, that's a total game changer for facility managers. When you're ready for an update, you just prime and paint. No more scraping, no more wall damage, no more costly repairs.
All right, let's get to round 1, the speed test. In any commercial space, time is money, and project downtime is an absolute killer. So how do these 2 stack up when the clock is ticking? Okay, just look at this traditional sequence for vinyl. It's like a long, complicated relay race with a bunch of different people involved. You've got your fabrication lead times, shipping logistics, all that wall prep, the actual install, and then you're still not done. You have to wait another 1 to 3 days for the glue to cure. Every single one of those steps is a potential point of failure that can throw your whole schedule off. Now, compare that to the modern workflow. It's so much simpler. You do a site survey, you prep the file, and then the machine gets to work. For a typical wall, the printing itself is often done in less than 5 hours. And here's the kicker. Turnover is immediate. The second that UV ink hits the wall, it's cured. It's done. You can open the area back up right away. The difference in operational disruption is it's massive. So, direct-to-wall definitely wins on speed. But how does it hold up over time? In a busy hallway or a high-traffic lobby? Let's jump into round 2, durability and performance. This side-by-side comparison really tells the story. With direct-to-wall printing, having no seams means you've gotten rid of the #1 failure point of vinyl. There are simply no edges to peel back, nothing for carts to snag on, no way for moisture to get underneath. Plus, the UV-cured ink itself is tough and easy to clean. You compare that to vinyl, where the seams are always a weak spot and the adhesives can give out. And once again, look at the end of life. A simple paint-over versus a messy removal that almost always means you're going to be paying for drywall repair.
And that brings us to our final and maybe the most important round for any decision maker, calculating the true value. We're not just talking about the initial invoice here. We're talking about the total cost of ownership over the entire life of the graphic.
This table just lays out all those hidden costs so clearly. With vinyl, you're paying for multiple trade teams, you're paying for wasted material from trimming, and you're paying for more complex repairs down the line. But with direct-to-wall, you've got one specialized team. Basically zero material waste and a much simpler end-of-life process. So when you actually factor all of that in over 3, 5, or even 7 years, the solution with the lower total cost becomes pretty obvious.
So we've laid out the comparison, but how do you apply this to your project, to your specific needs? Because look, this isn't about saying one is always the winner. It's about giving you the tools to make a really smart, informed choice.
So just ask yourself these key questions. Is keeping downtime to an absolute minimum a top priority? Well, then the speed of direct-to-wall is a huge plus. Are you trying to roll out a consistent brand look across dozens of locations? On-site printing solves a ton of logistical headaches. Does your space need to change and evolve? Then the ability to just paint over and start fresh is incredibly valuable. Your answers to these questions are going to point you straight to the right solution. Because ultimately, it all comes down to this. The walls in your buildings, they aren't just surfaces. They're powerful, strategic assets. They're communication channels. They tell your brand's story. They guide people. They shape the culture. And choosing the right technology is about making sure that communication is clear, durable, and operationally intelligent for years and years to come.